You to the newsmakers and events that make news in the global village.
Good evening, this is the 5FM Radio Main News, the headlines. ZCS dismisses claims that Munea Zulu was poisoned in custody. PF acting President Kevin Luwinda reportedly abducted by suspected UPND cadres in Kabwe. And Kenyan authorities paid trolls to threaten Gen Z protesters, Amnesty says. This bulletin is live on our Facebook page, 5FM Radio Zambia, and live on our YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. With the details, my name is Lance Sannie. The Zambia Correctional Service, ZCS, has categorically dismissed as false and misleading social media claims alleging that inmate Munea Zulu was poisoned through the apple while in custody. The service says no such incident occurred, and routine welfare and medical assessments show no signs of poisoning or harm. In a statement, ZCS Head of Public Relations Superintendent Cornelius Mwanza clarified that on 16 November 2025, Mr. Zulu visited the correctional facility clinic after choking on an apple. He informed medical staff that a piece of fruit briefly obstructed his airway. Clinic personnel immediately with assistance to clear the obstruction afterwards. Superintendent Mwanza stressed at no point did Mr. Mwanza suggest the apple was suspicious or that it had been provided by an officer or another inmate. He further noted that the apples had been brought by Mr. Zulu's own family, who would naturally be the first point of inquiry if any concerns had arisen. He explained that this was a simple choking incident consistent with what could happen to anyone. However, in line with internationally recognized correctional best practices and as a precaution, ZCS has temporarily restricted food deliveries for Mr. Zulu and requested that he and his family designate two authorized individuals to provide him with food in order to narrow the chain of custody and prevent future misunderstandings. ZCS has urged members of the public and the media to refrain from spreading unverified information and to rely on official communication channels. The service emphasized its continued commitment to the safety, rights, and well-being of all persons in its custody. Patriotic Front Party acting President Kevin Luwinda has allegedly been attacked and abducted by individuals believed to be United Party for National Development UPND cadres in Kabwe, according to statements from PF and opposition leaders. Addressing the media, Mporokosa Member of Parliament Brian Munduwile claimed that Mr. Luwinda was abducted and brutalized by suspected UPND cadres while he was holding a meeting with PF officials. Mr. Munduwile has called on the Inspector General of Police to immediately deploy officers to Kabwe to address the situation.
We wish to address the nation on some very important and yet unfortunate circumstance that has happened in Kabwe. We have received some very disturbing reports from Kabwe that Honorable Given Luwinda has been abducted. He's been brutalized by suspected UPND cadres who interrupted his meeting, the meeting that he was having with party officials, after which they severely brutalized Honorable Luwinda with all those that had accompanied him, and later abducted him and sped off in a pickup whose details were yet to avail to the police. Purpose of this address is to call upon the Inspector General of Police to immediately deploy officers to Kabwe.
Meanwhile, Citizen First Party leader Harry Kalaba condemned the alleged abduction, describing it as part of a worrying trend, noting that barely a month ago, PF's Choro Nyondo was abducted, yet no arrests have been made and no official statement issued. Mr. Kalaba further appealed to President Hakainde Hichilema, warning that if political abductions and thuggery are allowed to continue with impunity, soon there will be no Zambia left to preside over. According to a post on his official Facebook page monitored by 5FM News. At the time of reporting, efforts to obtain a comment from UPND Media Director Maximue proved unsuccessful. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development is participating in COP30 in Berlin, Brazil, with a strong appeal to the international community to support Zambia's integrated development planning (IDPs). The ministry says such support will enable local authorities to embed climate change adaptation and mitigation measures directly into local planning, budgeting, and service delivery systems. Ministry Permanent Secretary for Administration Dr. Gabriel Pollen emphasized the need to empower local authorities as a critical part of achieving meaningful climate action. He said climate response must not exist as a separate initiative, but should be fully integrated into all local government functions. Dr. Pollen explained that local authorities play an important and essential role in supporting the central government's climate response because they possess detailed knowledge of their specific territories, including their levels of climate vulnerability. This localized understanding, he noted, is vital for accurate risk assessments and the development of targeted, effective plans that can prevent future climate risks and enhance resilience. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing COP30 summit today, Dr. Pollen highlighted that using the IDPs as a legally mandated local planning framework will help more local authorities move beyond standalone climate action plans and instead create cohesive long-term strategies for building resilient and sustainable communities. COP30, the 30th United Nations Climate Change Conference of the Parties, is currently taking place in Berlin, Brazil. It is the main global gathering where countries negotiate and make decisions aimed at tackling climate change, building on past agreements such as the Paris Agreement. Key priorities at this year's summit include the presentation of updated national climate commitments and discussions on climate finance.
And fundamentally, as the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, we're here to showcase our capabilities and what we want to contribute to the global landscape and space regarding local authorities and what the local authorities can do within the context of climate change. So the conversation is wide, it encompasses a number of sectors, but ultimately it's about understanding the climate impacts on the way in which we live our lives. So as a Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, we understand the role that local authorities play in building resilience that is required in different local areas.
The Lusaka City Council (LCC) has issued a stern warning to individuals who continue to dispose of waste indiscriminately within the Central Business District (CBD). In a statement, LCC Public Relations Manager Chola Mwamba said that in response to the rising cases of improper waste disposal, the council, working in collaboration with the Zambia Police Service, has launched enforcement operations aimed at arresting and detaining offenders who violate waste management regulations. Ms. Mwamba added that the council's public health educators are actively conducting awareness campaigns to educate residents on proper hygiene practices, appropriate waste disposal methods, and the prevention of waterborne diseases such as cholera. She further noted that the council is carrying out both day and night cleaning exercises across the city under the direct supervision of Lusaka Town Clerk, Engineer Lifter Indaba. To strengthen waste management efforts, Ms. Mwaba said the council has engaged 24 franchise contractors to service low-density areas such as Kabulonga and Woodlands and urged residents in these communities to subscribe to authorized waste collection services. In high-density areas, the council has empowered community-based entrepreneurs (CBEs) to manage waste collection as part of its inclusive, community-driven waste management strategy.
Operations to arrest and detain offenders in violation of waste management regulations. The council's public health educators are also actively conducting awareness campaigns to educate residents on proper hygiene practices, appropriate waste disposal methods, and the prevention of the outbreak of waterborne diseases such as cholera. In addition, the council is undertaking both day and night cleaning exercises across the city.
United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia UPPZ leader Charles Chanda has expressed deep concern over the handling of the remains of former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. In a statement, Mr. Chanda said the country cannot pretend it is no longer in mourning, adding that the loss of President Lungu affects every citizen. He noted that the ongoing disagreement between the government and the Lungu family has raised serious questions, describing the manner in which both parties are addressing the situation as troubling and a matter of national concern. Mr. Chanda emphasized the importance of tradition, particularly regarding how the deceased are treated. The dead do not rest in a morgue. They deserve to be honored and remembered properly. Keeping President Lungu's remains in a freezer for over 5 months goes against our African customs, Mr. Chanda said. He called for immediate action to resolve the impasse and urged both sides to come together out of respect for the late president's legacy. The United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia UPPZ leader further encouraged Zambians to reflect on and appreciate President Lungu's contributions to the nation.
That sooner or later may need answers from all those that are involved in these negotiations. We can have a situation where a former Republican president dies and is kept in the mortuary, and then we begin to pretend as if nothing has happened. If truly we have a funeral as a country, we need to do everything possible to ensure that the dead to rest.
And in other news trending this evening, community action against corruption is questioning the strength and effectiveness of Zambia's newly drafted anti-corruption bill of 2025. Patriotic Front PF Deputy National Youth Chairman Celestine Mukandila has called on PF members and the general public to dismiss recent statements issued by former PF Secretary General Davis Mwila. Up next, the business news.
From Radio Business News, we mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security has imposed an administrative penalty of 80,000 kwacha on Lusaka Telecom Solution Company for multiple labour law violations, including underpayment of wages, failure to develop employment policies, and non-attestation of employee contracts. The action follows an integrated labor inspection led by the Assistant Labor Commissioner for Lusaka Province, Ellen Moyo, after the ministry received reports of poor working conditions at the company. During the inspection, several breaches were identified, among them the failure to issue payslips, contrary to Section 105 of the Employment Code ECA number 3 of 2019, and the use of non-attested employment contracts in violation of Section 25 of the same Act. The ministry has since urged all employers to adhere to the provisions of the Employment Code Act, warning that non-compliance attracts administrative penalties, possible prosecution, and additional enforcement measures depending on the seriousness of the offense. The ministry will continue intensifying both scheduled and impromptu inspections to protect workers' welfare and ensure labor standards are upheld across the country. This is according to a statement issued by Ministry of Labor and Social Security Principal Public Relations Officer Mwaka Ndawa. Ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
And in news from across our borders, the Kenyan authorities paid a network of trolls to threaten and intimidate young protesters during recent anti-government demonstrations, Amnesty International has said. A new report by the human rights organization said government agencies also employed surveillance and disinformation to target organizers of the mass protests which swept Kenya across 2024 and 2025. The demonstrations were driven largely by Gen Z activists who use social media platforms to mobilize. In response to Amnesty's report, Kenya's Interior Minister said the government does not sanction harassment or violence against any citizen. And in sports news, Zambia's Deputy High Commissioner at South Africa, Ruth Dante, has wished the Zambia national football team success as they intensify preparations for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON, scheduled to kick off on 21 December in Morocco. Ms. Dante met the Chipolopolo in South Africa, where the team played a single international friendly match against the South African national team as part of their AFCON build-up. She commended the players for the discipline, teamwork, and the positive spirit they continue to demonstrate despite the challenging result. The Deputy High Commissioner noted that the Chipolopolo remain an important symbol of national pride and unity, adding that their participation in regional engagements contributes significantly to strengthening Zambia's visibility and reputation on the global stage. She further highlighted the role of the national team in promoting sports diplomacy and sports tourism, both of which help foster closer ties and cultural exchange between Zambia and other nations. She reaffirmed the government's and the nation's full support for the team, expressing confidence that the Chipolopolo have the potential to deliver a strong and competitive performance at the upcoming AFCON in Morocco. This is contained in a statement issued by First Secretary, Press and Public Relations, Zambia High Commission, Pretoria, Alexander Msokotwane. And now, the weather.
Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy. Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
Central, Copperbelt, Eastern, Luapula, Lusaka, Mchinga, Northern, Northwestern, and Southern provinces mainly cloudy, slightly windy, and mild with isolated rain. Western province mainly cloudy, slightly windy, and mild with a chance of isolated rain. Ends our weather report, and that item brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a recap of the stories that made headlines. The Zambia Correctional Service has categorically dismissed as false and misleading social media claims alleging that inmate Munia Zulu was poisoned through an apple while in custody. Patriotic Front acting president Given Luwinda has allegedly been attacked and abducted by individuals believed to be United Party for National Development cadres in Kabwe, according to statements from PF and the opposition leaders. And finally, the Kenyan authorities paid a network of trolls to threaten and intimidate young protesters during recent anti-government demonstrations, Amnesty International has said. For more news, follow us on Facebook, 5FM Radio Zambia, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. On behalf of the entire news crew and the technical department, thank you for listening to the happy world of 5FM. Stay safe and stay tuned to 5FM Radio. My name is Lance Sannie. Enjoy the rest of the evening.